Whether or not your child is entitled to extended school year services, they're called ESY services. Whether your child needs ESY services or not is a determination made by an IEP team that your child needs special education related services over the summer. So for example, school may let out for children without disabilities on June 2nd, but your child needs some additional services and therefore they receive services over the summer. The concept of extended school year is somewhat a difficult one on how it works, so I'm going to go through the Code of Federal Regulations for you first so you get a little bit of background, and then I'll explain some instances where extended school year services are appropriate. Extended school year services are at 34 Code of Federal Regulations 300.106. In general, each school district must make extended school year services available in order to provide a free, appropriate public education to a child with a disability. If the child's IEP team determines on an individual basis on the needs of the child that services are necessary for the child to receive FAPE, then extended school year services should be provided. Extended school year services cannot be limited to particular disabilities, or the time or amount of services cannot be limited either. So just the non-availability of staff during the summer is not a reason not to provide services, extended school year services. The definition of extended school year services means special education and related services that are provided to a child with a disability beyond the normal school year and in accordance with the child's IEP, and of course at no cost and meet the standards of the state, which is all of free appropriate public education requirements. So let's say your child needs extended school year services. When do you know that it's necessary that your child receives those services? The case law and state agency decisions have kind of laid out a framework for extended school year services. Primarily, your child must regress, regress, over the summer, which means that they lose some of what they've learned in the spring in that school year. They lose it all over the summer and are farther behind the following school year during the fall. How do you prove this? Well, it's difficult to prove it. So in the previous year, if your child was doing pretty good in the spring and then you took the summer break and they were way behind again when they went back to school in fall, your child regressed significantly during that period and may be entitled to extended school year services. There are also instances where particular disabilities sometimes require intensive services. A good example is traumatic brain injury, where sometimes a child learns very rapidly, sometimes it comes in spurts. If they're doing really well and you think that they need extended school year services to keep the ball rolling, they may be entitled to those also. But it happens on a case-by-case basis. And if you have any questions about that, I would contact an advocate or Legal Aid of Nebraska for a better explanation. But that's extended school year services. So if your IEP team decides your child needs them, then they'll be put in place on the IEP.